The power of focus. How to improve your concentration, double your productivity, and become a beast at whatever you do. By Rich Johnson. Table of Contents. Chapter 1. Why is focus important? Chapter 2. Turning up the focus at home. Chapter 3. Working up the nerve to focus. Chapter 4. The battle between partying and productivity. Chapter 5. Striking a balance. Conclusion. The true power of focus. Chapter 1. Why is focus important? If you've picked up this book, my guess is that you're struggling with one or both of these problems. 1. Concentrating on tasks is difficult for you. 2. You don't feel as though there is enough time in the day to get everything done. 3. You have problems with productivity. If any or all of these things are the case, you're not alone. Millions of people struggle daily to maintain focus, and as a result, productivity is lost. What if I told you that there are proven methods to not only maintain focus, but also to improve your ability to concentrate and complete more tasks? What if you were the person who usually got around to doing what you wanted to most of the time? It is 1000% possible for you to be that person, and at the end of this book, you'll be well on your way to becoming him/her. But before I get ahead of myself, let's examine what the definition of focus is so that I can be sure that we're on the same page. According to Merriam-Webster Dictionary, focus is a verb meaning to direct your attention or effort at something specific. Notice one thing in Mama Merriam's definition: the word something is not plural, that is to say, somethings with an S is nowhere to be found. That's because having the ultimate focus is nearly impossible if you are not concentrating on a specific, singular thing. You'll hear many tell you that multitasking is the key to being productive, but what does multitasking truly accomplish? Let's put the multitasking argument into perspective. If I bake 50 disgusting blueberry pies and 20 smelly apple pies for a pie baking contest, while my competitor bakes 5 absolutely delectable pies, who do you think will win the contest? Will I come out victorious just because I've gotten more done? Unless you're willing to sacrifice quality for quantity, you'll need focus in all areas of your life. There may be any number of reasons that you lack focus, including a poor appetite, improper planning skills, irregular sleep habits, the wrong mindset, etc. We'll cover all of those obstacles and how to overcome them at home, in the workplace, and in your social life. But first, take a look at the checklist below. If you suffer from any one of these, you would likely benefit from learning to be more focused in your daily life. Telltale signs that you may be lacking focus: you feel as though there aren't enough hours in the day, you forget to do simple tasks throughout the day, you often leave tasks unfinished, letting them interfere with your schedule for the next day, you often feel fatigued from trying to think about or do too much, you want to see or talk to your friends more, but you just don't have the time, you believe that there are too many stressors in your life to concentrate on any one task. Does any of this sound familiar? If so, I've got good news and bad news. The bad news: you suffer from lack of focus. The good news: so does most of the world. The only difference is, now, you'll learn valuable tricks of the trade to help you focus and become the most efficient person that you can be. Chapter 2: Turning up the focus at home. In the last 50 years or so, home has taken on a number of different meanings for families. In the 1960s, home was a place to be kept and maintained. Meals were cooked, dinner was served, furniture was preserved in some god-awful plastic covering. Fast forward to the 2000s and home means something completely different for the average family. It means toys on the floor from little Jimmy who is teething. It means untouched stoves, since, a lot of times, cooking isn't a leisure activity that can be enjoyed without feeling rushed on a weekday. It means stress. It's no wonder that many of us equate our homes with chaos, instead of a place to decompress and relax. In this section, you'll learn how to turn your home into a productive place where things can get done. You'll do this by way of one method: focus. The home mindset. What comes to mind when you hear the word home? If just thinking about home causes some form of stress, you're in need of a major focus overhaul. Home is where you replenish. You eat there. You sleep there. You bathe there. Home is your hub. It's the one space where you have the opportunity to prepare yourself before venturing out into this crazy place that we like to call the world. But if you're not viewing your home in a positive light, I can almost guarantee that it won't be a pleasant place for you to be. Before you change any type of routine or habit in your home, you must first change your mindset. Think about it like this: remember those terrible shots that you had to get as a kid when you were going to the doctor's office? If you huffed and puffed and pouted all the way there, I'm sure you weren't in a good mood once you arrived. Never mind that the doctor's office had those cool toys in the waiting room that you loved playing with whenever you went there. Or that the doctor's office was the only place you knew of where they just gave out candy at the front desk like it was Halloween. You likely didn't notice any of that because you let the dread you felt ruin everything for you even before you'd experienced actually going to the doctor's office. Dread makes it near impossible to focus on anything except feeling sorry for yourself, and woes are the last thing that you'll need in your life if you want to enhance your concentration skills to become more productive. Try this exercise: make a list of all the things at home that you have to be grateful for. Once you've made your list, go back over what you've written and think about why you're grateful for those things. The end result should be a renewed appreciation for your humble abode. The importance of sleep. Did you know that a lack of sleep could kill you before having a lack of food could? You can survive approximately 14 days without food, but 10 days without sleep will kill you. I hate to be a grim reaper bearing depressing news, but sleep deprivation is a real thing. And it can actually do serious harm to your physical and mental health if not corrected. Don't believe me? Just check out a few of these interesting facts from Time magazine on sleep and the effects that it can have on the body. A simple 6-minute nap can improve your memory. 15-minute power naps can be useful for recharging from a midday crash. It's said that even Leonardo da Vinci took 15-minute power naps every 4 hours to recharge. It's important to enter the REM stage of sleep to complete your sleep cycle. The ramifications of not entering this stage on a consistent basis include difficulty learning and remembering, weight fluctuation, pain sensitivity, and decreased brain mass in infants. Singer Michael Jackson was said to have missed out on 60 consecutive nights of REM sleep shortly before his death. See how important this sleep thing is, yet. To get the most out of your day and focus on the tasks that you need rest. If you're not getting enough sleep, don't expect to be focused, productive, and efficient. One of these is going to fall by the wayside, and I'm willing to bet your money that it's focus that'll get the short end of the stick. How many hours of sleep are you clocking in per night? The average adult needs anywhere from 7 to 8 hours. If you aren't able to get those hours in, it might be worth a visit to a healthcare professional to assess the reason why. Until then, here are some tips that may help you effectively tone down each night. Avoid using electronics shortly before going to bed. Yep, that means stay away from your phone, tablet, computer, and e-reader at least an hour before bed. It's possible, I promise. The glare from them simulates daylight and may trick your body into staying awake. Stick to a set schedule. Your body may be confused about when it's time to go to bed. One night you're up until 3 a.m. cranking those last-minute reports out, and the next night you're ready to turn it in at 9 p.m. Give your mind and body some consistency. Evaluate your sleeping space. Are there certain things in your room or sleeping space that are keeping you up without you even realizing it? For years, I slept with the TV on thinking that my brain would fire a mile a minute without background noise to focus on. It turns out, all TV did was give me trippy infomercial dreams. The minute I eliminated the light and sound coming from the TV, I slept soundly. For you, it might be something completely different. Check out these culprits that are notorious for making a sleeping space unpleasant: a messy room, outside noises, a snoring partner, etc. Figure out ways to combat these sounds to give yourself a fair chance at being focused the next day. Why you should probably become a morning person. I can hear the protests now, but everyone's not a morning person, or you told me to get more sleep, and now you're telling me to wake up early. What gives? I get it. But get this, You want all of the following, right? More hours in the daytime to focus without minimal distraction, restful sleep at night, so that you're able to focus well throughout the day. Why not be proactive in attaining these goals? Doing anything else would be the equivalent of pouting because your leg itches. Scratch it. Scratch the itch and solve the problem. Here are a few tips to get you started on your journey to becoming a morning person. Pace yourself and be realistic. If you normally wake up at 8 a.m., don't expect to feel your best if you're switching your wake-up time to 4:30 a.m. Take baby steps and start off by getting up just an hour earlier than you normally would. As you get used to this, you can start to wake up earlier and earlier. Do light exercise in the morning. We'll cover the importance of exercise in a bit, but know that exercise is an effective tool for rejuvenating the body. Do a little experiment with yourself. Try replacing your morning dose of caffeine with a light walk or jog instead. When midday rolls around, your body will thank you. Get to the office an hour or two before everyone else gets there. You might find that the peace and solitude is well worth the effort of being an early riser. Don't eat the cupcake. So you've made the changes that we've talked about so far. You're getting up earlier in the morning and are able to concentrate since there are fewer distractions around. You've started getting an adequate amount of sleep. Heck, you've even bought a home sweet home sign to remind yourself to be happy when you go home. But you're still lethargic. Still void of energy and unable to put your focus much of anywhere. Something just feels off. Your diet could be the culprit. What types of foods are you eating throughout the day? Many professionals describe a schedule that's so intense that they often don't even eat breakfast or lunch. Imagine what horrible things your brain must be saying to you when it wakes your body up and it doesn't get the fuel that it needs. There are two key reasons why it's important to eat breakfast, and as newer studies show, none of those reasons have to do with weight loss. You need breakfast because 1. You may have been asleep. The body is never simply sitting there doing nothing. There is always something going on, and that something requires fuel to happen. Your body needs the fuel that breakfast provides. Studies show that skipping breakfast leads to concentration and memory issues throughout the day. How can you give optimal focus to a task when your body doesn't have what it needs in order to perform optimally? 2. Skipping breakfast often leads to a bigger, unhealthier lunch, or a smaller lunch that doesn't quite make the mark for providing the energy that you need. Eating lunch is a lose-lose situation when you've skipped breakfast. If you eat an unhealthy lunch, you'll be putting all sorts of sugars in your body that will cause you to mentally crash shortly after consuming them. If you eat a smaller, healthier lunch, your body still may not have the fuel that it needs to complete tasks effectively. Even eating a small breakfast helps. Skipping altogether throws off your entire day. And guess what happens when you start off your entire day thrown off? You guessed it again. You'll find it difficult to focus and be productive. For similar reasons, you should also avoid skipping other meals. The mealtimes for breakfast, lunch, and dinner are all deliberate. Your body needs fuel at those peak times to perform. Why deprive it? With all of that being said, I know that there are some people like me out there who make sure that they don't miss a meal and couldn't even if they wanted to. If that person is you, and you're still crashing midday or finding that you don't have the enough energy, your culprit for lack of focus may be your diet choices. What type of foods are you eating to get you through the day? Sugar or bad carbs, which are quickly converted into sugar, can play a large role in hindering your cognitive ability when it comes down to it. When you feel yourself getting a little low on energy, try picking up the following foods or snacks instead of the traditional sugary fixes that most stores push. Foods and snacks to optimize focus and help you get through your day. Almonds. Almonds are a slow-absorbing carb that give you lasting energy. The best part is, it doesn't take many to do the trick. Water. Avoid juices and sodas. These beverages have way too much added sugar, which will slow you down in the long run. Eggs. They're low on calories and the protein will help your hunger go away. Win/win. Peanut butter. There's no need to go overboard on this food, but it is a filling protein source that is good for providing a quick pick-me-up. Fruit and veggies. This one goes without saying, right? Lean meats. Chicken breast, lean ground beef, turkey. You can't go wrong with any of these choices. They all provide an adequate source of protein and are great for increasing concentration and satiety. Bottom line, make sure that you are eating a healthy and balanced diet. Set aside some time to get to the grocery store to ensure that you're putting the right things into your body. After all, your focus depends on it. Get up and get out. If you're not making time for some sort of exercise during the day, you're missing out on some major benefits. In fact, according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention (CDC), just 30 to 60 minutes of exercise from 3 to 5 times a week improves your mood, the way you manage stress, mental health, and brain function. If that isn't enough evidence for you, consider the physiological changes that exercise promotes: an increased memory. When you exercise, the brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF, a chemical known for increasing memory, is released. The more you exercise and move, the more BDNF is produced, thus increasing your cognitive function and ability to concentrate. BDNF can only be produced through the act of exercise. A better mood. Exercise releases endorphins, which are linked with increasing mood or energy. Endorphins trigger a positive mood. Many describe this mood as euphoric, even. When you feel better both inside and out, you'll find that it's easier to focus on even the most menial tasks. What's the moral of the story here? Exercise, exercise, exercise. It increases your ability to think, move, and concentrate. If you're not accustomed to exercising, start off small by taking walks every morning and/or midday. You'll find that the more time you set aside for this activity, the more you'll feel like taking on throughout the day. The most important words you'll ever say. Your words have a tremendous effect on your mood, which is why it's crucial that positive affirmations become a daily regime for you. Positive affirmations are sayings or phrases that you repeat to yourself daily. They're thought to have an encouraging effect on your mood, emotions, and overall quality of life. Your words have power, even if you don't believe them when you speak them. Yes, you read correctly. Positive affirmations work even if you don't initially believe them. Trust, if you say those words enough, you'll start to believe them. How are you talking to and about yourself? Are you saying the words can't or never often? You'll always rise to the level that you speak of. How are you speaking of yourself and your capabilities? Here are some examples of positive affirmations to get you started on the right track. I can give focus on tasks regardless of my life's circumstances. I am having a productive day. I will give all of my attention to one task at a time. I complete projects easily. I have all that I need in order to be productive. Try this. Come up with a few affirmations of your own, things that you wish were true. Repeat those affirmations to yourself 3 times every single morning for at least a month. You should start to see a guaranteed change in your mindset and ability to focus. Using mindfulness to focus. Here's the simplest and most delicious experiment that you'll ever try: eat a single piece of candy. Nothing more. Nothing less. What types of things, if anything, did you notice when you were eating that piece of candy? The taste? The texture? The smell? Chances are, you ate the candy without thinking twice about the act of eating it. The world tells you to eat the box of chocolates and think about how good it was after eating it. Mindfulness tells you to eat a piece of chocolate and savor the taste in the moment. Mindfulness is the study of being present or in the moment. It's a technique that you'll need to implement daily if you are intent on improving your focus on daily tasks. Mindfulness can be a tough concept to practice and grasp, so I'll give you a couple of examples on how it can be used to hone focus. Instead of getting a pit in your stomach when you think about work, focus on what you're doing in the moment. If you're sitting down reading a book when you have this feeling, focus on the contents of your book. It's easier said than done, but once you master the technique, things get a lot easier. Before you pop that handful of potato chips into your mouth while you're watching TV, stop to consider whether or not you're really eating the chip because it tastes good or if it's more of an automatic behavior. Eat one chip at a time and savor the taste of that one. Because mindfulness is so hard a concept for some to grasp, it's best to put this into practice with small exercises. Here's an effective one that I often use when I'm trying to regroup at the end of the day. 1. Close your eyes. Name 4 things that you hear. 2. With your eyes still closed, name 3 things that you smell. 3. Open your eyes. Name 2 things that you see. 4. With your eyes still open, name 1 thing that you can feel. You should have noticed one thing that you accomplished during this exercise: you probably managed to stop thinking about your stressors. Instead, you were living in the moment and honing in on your 5 senses. The only way you'll ever master the art of focusing on the present is to live in it. Your planning day. It goes without saying that weekdays can get a little hectic. When things get hectic, it's easy for time and focus to slip away from you. To avoid this, plan out your week ahead of time. Designate a planning day during the weekend to prepare for the week ahead. I like to use Sunday. It's close enough to the upcoming week so that I'm in the mental space to prepare for Monday, but it's far enough from Friday so that I can still enjoy my weekend. You'll find that the more you plan ahead of time, the fewer surprises you'll have. The fewer surprises you have, more likely you are to focus on a single task and do it well. Check out this free sample work plan from Calendarpedia to help get you on your way. http://www.calendarpedia.com/weekly-schedule-word-templates.html. When messiness battles productivity. Is your home full of clutter? If so, that could be a hindrance to your creativity and ability to concentrate. Making your home clutter-free could mean the difference between getting a lot done and a little, because who can concentrate with a bunch of stuff lying around? Besides, your home is your base, remember? It's the very place where you go to regroup and deal day after day. You won't have much room to air out your grievances from the workday if your home is too cluttered to permit that. A cleaner space not only helps you feel better, but it also takes the focus off of your environment and puts it on the task that you're completing. Just in case you're in need of some help in this area, here are a few tips to get you started in your journey to uncluttering. If you can, get a cleaning service to come in every so often to do a deep cleaning. Use the extra time you would have used for cleaning to dive deeper into your pursuits. If you can't get a cleaning service to come in, write cleaning into your weekly schedule. Try not to devote an entire day to this task though, as this can be overwhelming. Assign a different cleaning task to yourself every other day, e.g. Mondays, sweeping, Wednesdays, vacuuming, Fridays, laundry. Tackle one cluttered room at a time. If there are multiple rooms in your house that require cleaning and/or organizing, try not to overwhelm yourself by doing everything at once. Clear out one room per week, assigning small by-the-day tasks to yourself. Recognizing how your current routine affects you. One of the most useful things that you can do to improve your focus at home is to make sure you're constantly re-evaluating your routine. It's said that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over. Have you changed your at-home routine so that you've accomplished the following? You make it a point to think of home as a pleasant, relaxing place. You get at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep at night. You wake up at least 1 hour earlier than you did previously. You've changed your diet so that you're not on a roller coaster of constant sugar highs and lows. You do light exercise at least 3 times a week. You have 2 or 3 positive affirmations that you make it a point to repeat every morning. You are practicing mindfulness. You've set aside a day for planning out your week. You have an active plan for clearing the clutter in your home. It sounds like a lot, but once your home is in order, every other area of your life will follow. Why it's best to avoid multitasking. Here's a scenario that may or may not sound familiar. Denise is a working mother who has just picked up her children from school. On the way home from her children's school, she receives an email that pops up as a notification on her phone. She misses the part about her daughter's day when she tells how she dealt with a bully at school. When Denise gets home, she starts to prepare dinner and helps her children with their homework. While helping her son with his homework, dinner burns. After dinner, Denise puts her children to bed. Exhausted from the day, she vows to answer the work email that came through earlier before going to bed. Her routine is the same the next day. Question: in this given scenario, who wins? Denise's child isn't being ignored, but she isn't getting her mother's full attention either. Denise's job doesn't receive a reply from her until later on into the night when Denise is already exhausted and likely not functioning at her full potential. Denise's family eats a burned dinner after a long, hectic day. The answer is, in this scenario, no one wins. When you multitask, you usually fall short somewhere. If Denise had stopped to focus on even one aspect of her day, she might have had some successes in some areas. Maybe she wouldn't have gotten to her work email, but she would have learned about what her child was going through at school. Or maybe dinner would have been takeout, but the children's homework would have been completed correctly. In Denise's case, instead of scoring 1 or 2 wins for the day, she scored 0. Maybe you're thinking that you're not like Denise, and that you're good at multitasking. To a certain extent, I wouldn't be able to protest that. You can walk and talk at the same time. You can breathe and read all at once. And those of you who are really talented can eat dinner and have a conversation at the same time. There's just one thing that you may or may not be taking into account: breathing. Eating, walking, those are all habits. Things you do automatically to, well, live. It doesn't really require much brainpower. I'm guessing you aren't reading this book in order to find out how to breathe, though. You want to improve your focus in order to concentrate on tasks that require a much higher level of brainpower. Considering the fact that the short-term memory can only store 5 to 9 things at once, you'd do much better not to overload it with larger tasks that require deep thinking. One thing at a time. Ask yourself if it's better to get a lot done with little to no results, or if it's better to get a little done with exceptional results. Don't cheat yourself. You deserve to showcase your awesome abilities as a parent or worker or student. Don't let a lack of focus hinder that. Chapter 3: Working Up the Nerve to Focus. The work environment can be one of the most stressful environments there is, making it difficult to get excited about going every day, let alone actually being focused on the work once you get there. If you think anything like I did, then you are probably thinking that focus at work isn't such a huge problem for you. You may retort by saying things like, "Actually, I'm too focused at work. I need to learn to unwind when I come home, or I am focused and not multitasking. I just don't have enough time to get everything done." Whatever the rebuttal, I've got news: focus and productivity go hand in hand. If you are less productive than you'd like to be, you could benefit from implementing some focus techniques. If you're less focused than you'd like to be, you're probably less productive than you could be. Either way, you need focus to become a beast at being productive. Now that you've got your home life in order, this next section will go into details about the area of life where some spend most of their time: work. Beware of burning yourself out in the workplace. It makes focus nearly impossible, and if you're looking to become a master of focus, that's one obstacle that you can do without. The work mindset. You've gotten that feeling more than once. You know, the one where you leave for work feeling good and refreshed, only to return from work feeling and looking like an ant crushed by a 1,000-pound anvil. The workplace can be a tough environment, mainly because in many situations, you are not the one who controls the environment or calls the shots for the company. You can't necessarily change your workplace's culture, but you can absolutely change the way that you react to it by switching your perspective. Just as there is a home mindset, there is also a work mindset. There's a key difference between these two mindsets, though. The home life mindset is about grounding and centering yourself so that you are in prime condition to focus. The work-life mindset is about maintaining the type of focus that you have at home. To maintain focus effectively, you'll need to constantly practice the technique of mindfulness. Think about how much of what you're worried about is attributed to something that may happen versus how much of it is about what's actually happening. If you're worried and or anxious about something, your body is in prime condition to focus. The unfortunate piece of this is that when your body is in this state, it starts to focus on the wrong things. This is how some mistakenly believe that they are focused intensely on a work task when they really are not. If you are stressed about a task you're completing, you are concentrating on both the task and your anxiety about the task. You want your focus devoted to the task only. That's why it's extremely important to make sure that you're practicing mindfulness and remaining in the moment. Try this: the next time you are stressed out about a task that you're working on, stop the task and take a small break. Use your break to journal about what it is you're anxious about. Once you air your frustrations, focusing on your task should get a little easier. Write to get right. Writing things down helps you remember. Period. Society has always known this. After all, we're encouraged all of our lives to write down material in order to remember it. As children, we're encouraged to write spelling words and homework assignments over and over. As teens, we're asked to take notes in the classroom. As young adults, we're encouraged to make agendas for meetings. We even encourage the elderly to write down daily reminders. If you're going to implement this method, however, it might be useful to note that writing down things on a glowing screen versus on a plain old piece of paper makes all the difference. In a recent study, 2 researchers from UCLA and Princeton University tested a theory. They took 2 groups of students and asked them to take notes on a given subject. One group of students took notes on a laptop and the other on pen and paper. The study showed that students who wrote on the laptops tended to get more done. Some people type faster than they write. End of story, right? Wrong. Although those students who wrote on a laptop got more done and were more efficient, the students who had written their notes by hand had a much greater comprehension level of the material that they'd studied. It's always great to get a lot done, but never sacrifice quality for quantity. That's what focus truly is about. Think about what would happen if you had studied for a test, but couldn't remember the material, or if you'd forgotten what to talk about in a meeting that you were leading. Both of these instances require the act of writing in order to remember something. An enhanced memory gives you confidence and makes focusing that much easier. Write things down to comprehend and remember them. Go caveman style and use a pen and a paper instead of a laptop for greater comprehension. Here are some things that might be helpful to write down in the workplace. Meeting notes, agendas, any verbal instructions given to you by a supervisor, takeaways from emails, conversations that you may need to remember later. Try this: pinpoint the parts of your day where your memory and/or concentration may get a little shaky. Is it after a long meeting? After one-on-ones with your supervisor? Use this information to come up with a plan for writing down information that may help jog your memory. Cutting the distractions. Many employers have designed the workplace as a sort of multitasking haven where employees are expected to do 5 million things at once. You're working on a computer with internet. Lord knows this is a distraction within itself. Your email notifications pop up every 2 seconds, knocking you out of the groove of whatever assignment you're working on. Your boss expects a right now answer to every email that they send, never mind that they're coming every 5 minutes, and you have several meetings to attend, interrupting you from completing your work. Factor in having to eat, take breaks, and possibly deal with things going on outside of work, and you've got the makings of a disaster. But remember, you may not have control over your environment, but you do have control over yourself. Here are some ways to counteract the work distractions that you may be experiencing. The internet. Although the temptation may be great to explore the internet here and there, resist the urge. Sit in a place where your monitor is visible to others. This way, if you do have a slip-up with going on the internet, you'll be held accountable. Email notifications. While there isn't much you can do about people emailing you, there is a way to respond that will preserve your sanity and allow you to keep your job. When you're working on a project or an assignment, choose designated breaks to answer your emails. An example of this would be taking a 15-minute break from a large project. This way, you're not just dropping everything every time you receive a notification. Your boss's email notifications. When emails come in from your boss, it's safe to say you want to answer those right away. If your boss's emails are plentiful, constant, and centered around the same topic, it may be beneficial to give him or her a phone call or drop by their desk instead of penning emails back and forth. This will save you both time and frustration. Meetings, avoid them at all costs, more on this later. If you absolutely can't avoid them, be sure to take notes so that your focus stays honed on the meeting and not other things. Being mindful of next steps. What do you suppose would happen if you went to adopt a puppy without doing any research about dogs or dog breeds? You'd probably just wander about the shelter aimlessly until you found a cute dog to bring home. The end result of this could very well be you adopting a dog that you're allergic to, hates your toddler, chews up all of your good shoes, and needs more space to run and play than your studio apartment can offer. Had you done your research, you would have discovered that the dog you just adopted hates kids, sheds more than all 5 of your cats put together, is a constant chewer, and is not an apartment dog. It's crucial to be prepared and have a plan in place. When you are not aware or privy to your next steps, you are unprepared, and as a result, unfocused and unproductive. This rule is especially important in the workplace, as you don't want to spend time thinking about what your next steps should be. You want to spend that time actually doing those next steps and being productive. When you're in the workplace, always know what you're going to do next, and if you don't know what you're going to do, have a plan for finding out. Here are a few workplace tips on how to be proactive in planning your next steps. Always determine the takeaways for any meetings that you're required to attend. Break your work assignments up into smaller chunks, so that you have a plan on what to do once you complete a certain section. Your emails to coworkers should never have the "I'm not exactly sure" tone. If you don't know something, find out or refer your coworker to someone who does know. Nip their questions in the bud with precise, helpful answers, so that those questions don't come back up later on. It's never fun answering the same thing twice, and frankly, it's not a great use of time. The moral of the story here? Staying one step ahead of the game not only keeps you on your toes, but it also maximizes your focus. The power of setting time intervals. Setting time intervals is a powerful technique for those who have consistent problems with focusing and/or staying productive. This is the way it works. 1. Set a small goal for what you want to accomplish in a short time interval. 2. Start off by setting the timer for 15 minutes. 3. Do all of the work that you can in those 15 minutes. If you start to get distracted or discouraged, tell yourself that you only have a few minutes to go. Most of the time, when that timer goes off, you'll want to keep working. Set the timer for another 15-minute interval and keep working, repeat as many times as needed. The idea here is to trick the mind into focusing for a long time by making it think that it's focusing for a short amount of time. Tip: 15-minute intervals are not necessary for this technique to work. Use whatever time works for you. The shorter your attention span, the shorter your time should be. Use 15 minutes if you are easily distracted. If you feel your distraction problems are minimal, feel free to use anywhere from 25 to 60 minutes. Setting immediate end goals. While it's great to always know your next steps and have a method for being productive and getting there, that knowledge or technique means nothing if you have no immediate end goal in mind. If you haven't found out already, you'll see that it's really difficult to work diligently on a task when you're unsure of that task's end goal. A lot of people confuse setting immediate end goals with setting goals for above and beyond initiatives that they want to accomplish. Here's what I mean. Immediate end goal: by the end of this week, I will finish my accounting report. Not an immediate end goal: I will complete this accounting report, developing a more efficient way to crunch these numbers and save my company money. Immediate end goal: I will complete my project plan by the end of the day and email it to my supervisor. Not an immediate end goal: I will complete my project plan by the end of the day, and then email my supervisor with some effective methods for doing plans like these in the future. Do you see the difference between the two? The immediate end goal allows you to focus on the task at hand. The second goal listed in each example takes the focus off of what you're working on in the moment and puts it on a future project that doesn't exist. Don't get me wrong, I'm not advocating being a slacker, as I'm an overachiever myself. You should strive to do all that you can in your work assignments. It's completely okay to go above and beyond, if that's you. Just be sure that when you do, you're not cheating yourself or your employer by putting your focus on the wrong things. Setting immediate goals isn't an overly difficult process. Next time it's time to write down or set those goals, consider planning using the following steps. 1. Come up with a vision. Don't overthink this step. Your vision doesn't have to be terribly complicated, and as a matter of fact, it shouldn't be. Maybe you want to get an email sent off by the end of the day. Or maybe you want to complete a chart that you've been working on by the end of the week. Be sure that your goals are measurable and attainable. Instead of saying I want to find out what my next steps are in this project by the end of the day, think of something more concrete and measurable. A better version of this would be, before the end of the day, I want to compose an email to Betty to find out what deliverables she's expecting. 2. Be sure to set benchmarks along the way. Setting benchmarks allows you to create goals that are attainable and realistic. It also is a great way to keep from overwhelming yourself. Just to go with the example above, if your immediate goal for that day was to send Betty an email, your benchmarks for that might look something like this. A. Compose a first draft of my email to Betty. B. Go over my first draft to check to see if there was anything that I may have missed when I wrote the email in haste. C. Ask for clarification on Betty's answer, if necessary. D. Create a new goal list with the deliverables that Betty outlined in her email. 3. Celebrate. Once you achieve your goal, reward yourself. Depending on the size of the goal, your reward can be big or small. Many people know exactly what to do when it comes to the big goals, but they are stuck on how exactly to celebrate the small stuff. Here are some suggestions. For celebrating small victories: A. Go for ice cream. B. Watch a movie that you've been wanting to see. C. Get a manicure, pedicure, facial, or massage. D. Buy yourself a new, small gadget. E. Make a bubble bath and listen to relaxing music. F. Vow on the weekend that you will have a day where you do absolutely nothing. Setting immediate goals throughout the day may seem time-consuming initially, but for the perks that it provides in the long run, the process is completely worth it. Get a dump book. A dump book is a great idea for creatives with a lot of random ideas and too little time to flush them out. Got a great idea on how to streamline a work process, but you're in the middle of working on an intense project? Don't stop your project to flush the idea out. This will only take away from your concentration and overall productivity. Put the idea in your dump book and come back to it later. Did one of your coworkers bring something up in casual conversation that you want to check out later? Hold off on researching it right then and there. Write that something in your dump book and come back to it later. Not only does this give you a way to not lose great ideas, but it also is an effective way to keep working in the midst of those great ideas. Here's an idea of what a sample dump book page may look like. Book idea: The Power of Focus. Read The Psychology of Swagger. Later story idea: Clowns, circus, dark skies. Yarn craft idea: Literary spider web. Try later with the kids. Your dump book may look far different. Maybe yours is filled with errands that you may need to run instead of creative goals that you want to accomplish. Or maybe yours is full of things that you intend to do with your children. Maybe your dump book isn't even a physical book. Maybe it's a tape recorder with verbal notes instead. Either way, dump books are a useful way to not have to stop your workflow every 2 seconds. Fashion your dump book in the way that will work best for you. Tip: use your weekend planning day to put aside some dump book time. Your dump book time is for reviewing and maybe even implementing the awesome ideas that you had during the week. Outsource, outsource, outsource. There is no one in this world who is good at everything, but there are people in this world who are good at something. Why not work together to utilize each other's skill sets? When I was younger, I wanted to form a singing group of which I was the sole singer, rapper, and producer. I hadn't learned one key takeaway that would give me the time to focus on being the best singer, rapper, or producer that I could be. I hadn't yet been exposed to the wonderful world of outsourcing. Outsourcing is a mutually beneficial relationship. The person hiring the outsourcer gets a service performed, and the person being outsourced gets money for using their natural skill sets. It's a win-slash-win. The quickest way to burn out in the workplace is trying to do everything yourself. Here are some valuable ways that outsourcing can be used in a place of employment. Need a way to promote a business or a specific aspect of your business? Outsource someone to write an ebook for marketing purposes. Need a logo design or a graphic for a business card? Outsource a freelance graphic artist to help out. Got some menial and tedious but important work that needs to be accomplished? Outsource someone who has the time to complete these tasks for you. Focus on what talents you have instead of focusing on acquiring the ones needed to complete your tasks. The benefits are endless. Checking yourself before getting checked. Are you giving yourself time to regroup before you start working? Chances are, you are and don't even realize it. Many of us have a routine to ground us before we even get into work, e.g., getting coffee in the morning, reading the paper, sitting down to eat breakfast. Since you're subconsciously calming yourself with these methods, it's safe to say that making a deliberate effort shouldn't be a problem. There are a few traps that we fall into that take away our ability and desire to regroup, such as meetings held at the very beginning of the workday, running late, caring for a spouse or children. Letting any of these things affect your me time is a fatal mistake and will cost you some serious productivity during the day, not to mention more than a little bit of your sanity. The benefits to uninterrupted solitude are endless. Check out some of the benefits that taking time for yourself before a daunting task can accomplish. Your brain will get a chance to recharge. If your task requires a significant or even a little brain power, you'll need every ounce to maximize your focus and creativity. You'll get a chance to listen to your own thoughts instead of other people's. When you haven't taken the time to consider what you think, it's easy to get caught in the trap of going with what others think. Taking time for yourself gives you time to regroup your thoughts, so that you can offer more valuable insight and be more productive throughout the day. You'll be able to do a better job of working through problems. It's sometimes difficult to solve a problem when 5 million things are coming at you at once. If you take the time alone to cut out these distractions and think without them, you greatly increase your problem-solving abilities. Avoid dialing into meetings held at the beginning of the workday. You don't want to start your day off in haste. If at all possible, get to work a few minutes early to be present for the meeting. If you find that you're running late quite a bit, set your alarm clock to get up even earlier. When you're running late, you're focused on running late, nothing else. If getting your children ready for school in the morning time is too stressful, try meal prepping and picking out clothes the night before. Do whatever it takes to preserve your sanity and get your me time in so that you're ready for a focused and productive day. Why you should probably avoid holding meetings. I'm not anti-meeting, I'm anti-uneventful meeting. And these days, so many of them are. Hire UPS hold them just for show. People don't take arriving to them on time seriously, and there are often too many of them. Here are some ways that meetings can put a serious damper on your focus and productivity. Meetings are often more for brainstorming than communicating clear, concise objectives. This blurs your focus and makes it harder, or sometimes impossible, to come up with action items at the conclusion of a meeting. People hold a ton of meetings just to say they did it. I once worked someplace where the culture was to be in meetings all day. Many of my coworkers ended up skipping lunch because others had scheduled meetings during lunchtime. Needless to say, I was less productive in that role than I had ever been in any role. The meeting organizer often waits for everyone to arrive to the meeting. This often makes the meeting run over the time that it's meant to end, thus cutting into your precious time to be productive. If you have to call meetings, make sure that each meeting has a clear objective. Be sure to be mindful of others and your own time by ending and beginning meetings on time. Have a good reason if you're choosing to schedule a cluster of meetings. Being mindful of these things will save you a ton of time and energy. Getting busy during your commute. Productivity is about making the most of every single free moment, even your daily work commute. If you drive to work, use the time to kick back and enjoy your favorite song or radio show. You'll need time to decompress before jumping right into your work assignments. But if you don't drive to work and can focus all of your attention elsewhere, you're in a really good position to get a lot done. The average commute is about 40 minutes both ways. What you choose to do with that time is dependent upon your goals. If your goals are to relax and unwind before work, you might want to consider doing the following during your commute: a Sudoku or crossword puzzle, reading a fiction book, writing a new creative piece, getting on social media, listening to a motivational speech. There's nothing wrong with any of those activities or wanting to do those on your commute. Maybe you know that you have a stressful day ahead, and the only way you know you'll relax is if you use your commute time to unwind. But if your goal for that day is to be productive, your commute might look a little different. You may plan out your immediate end goals for the day, start working on next week's schedule, read a non-fiction book related to your profession, listen to and take notes on a meeting that you recorded earlier in the week. How much or how little you get done on your commute really is up to you. Determine what your goals are for that day and use your commute time accordingly. Here are a couple of pointers on getting things done during your morning commute. Don't start or complete a strenuous work assignment on your morning commute. You'll be stressed before you even get to work. Instead, focus your morning commute on executing the tasks outlined in your weekly schedule. This would be an excellent time to take a look at your dump book. If you are high-strung from being late or exceedingly nervous about something, use your commute time to focus on relaxation. Read a book and get enthralled. Write in your journal, focusing on your reflections. Make sure that you are not starting any type of work before your me time. You'll hear or see me say it over and over: take your me time by any means necessary. Every focused person needs it. What better way to implement it than on your morning commute? Chapter 4: The Battle Between Partying and Productivity. To work or to party? That is the question. It may surprise you to know that maintaining an active social life is a major part of remaining focused and productive. Ever wonder how celebrities party so hard and are still able to get so much done? The answer: they're getting so much done that they're able to party hard. Comedian Steve Harvey has 4 jobs and 7 kids, yet he and his wife still vacation regularly. How? He makes the time. He recognizes that with 7 kids and 4 jobs, he could be one phone call away from burning out if he doesn't take care of himself. If you want to improve your focus on intense or tedious tasks, you'll need to take breaks from them quite frequently. You have one golden rule to abide by during your breaks: have fun. The social mindset. So you've centered yourself using the techniques in the home mindset section, and you've learned to maintain that stability by using some of the methods in the work mindset section. Now it's time to make sure that you're balanced in how you view your social life. You shouldn't necessarily be at any of these 2 extremes, but many are. I'm not a fan of working. If one of my friends contacts me randomly, I'd blow off my work to go with him/her. Work can wait. I don't have time to socialize. There's too much work to be done, and I might not be able to enjoy myself anyway knowing that I have so much work to do. Your social life is not an extra part of your life. It is a necessary part of your life. It's something that you'll need to maintain balance. Without that balance, it'll be near impossible for you to maintain focus. There's a phenomenon in Japan called karoshi. Karoshi is known widely for being a condition associated with being overworked. According to Reuters, as of 2016, karoshi is on the rise, with 2 main causes being the culprit: death by suicide and death from poor cardiovascular health. Japan doesn't have any limits on the number of hours that their workers work. The result? A whopping 1,456 deaths in the year end of March 2015. As of 2016, karoshi is still on a steady and continuous rise. When you're overworked, you're not focused on any one task. You are focused on being overworked. Your brain works overtime to try to compensate for your body's fatigue. The result is a tired mind and body, a poorly done task, and in the case of karoshi, death. That is absolutely not what you want. You want to complete tasks in a way that shows your potential. You want to be focused and attentive in everything that you do. Scheduling regular social time helps with this. Next time you are thinking of getting together with your friends in the midst of a load of work assignments, don't feel guilty. You are investing in yourself in the long run. A happy you makes a happy home, which makes a happy workplace. A happy workplace for you means a happy and efficient worker. Take the time to invest in yourself to generate happiness. Try this. While you're planning your work schedule for the week, schedule some time in between work to hang out with friends. Your body will thank you for the brain break. Just say no. One golden rule of being a beast at remaining focused and productive is to avoid time vampires. Time vampires are exactly what they sound like. They're people or things that suck time out of you like a vampire would suck blood. It should be easy to ward off these time vampires if you know they exist, right? After all, if you're in the street and see an 18-wheeler coming your way, you know that you should probably move out of the way in order to avoid getting hit. The problem with time vampires is that they can be like invisible 18-wheelers, striking you when you least expect it. Many people don't recognize when they're coming into contact with someone or something that's literally pouring your time and energy down the drain. Lucky for you, you have this guide to help you. Here are a couple of common time vampires and ways to avoid them. 1. Social media. Yes, I know. It's super important that you see who's married to who this week, who broke up with who last week, and what your best friend had for lunch. However, if used incorrectly, social media can be a major time vampire. With the different social media platforms and all the information available on these platforms, it's easy to literally spend hours perusing these sites. Then follows the regret for spending hours reading about your favorite celebrity's new toe ring, as opposed to using that time to get things done. The biggest way to combat social media is to see your friends face to face. I know this might be a foreign concept these days, but it's an effective one. Be sure to schedule your time so that social media, and of course, actually seeing friends, has a designated place in your weekly plan. 2. Mr. or Ms. Dramatic. Just about everyone knows this person. They are the ones who always have some type of drama going on in their lives, making it near impossible for them to have what many would consider a normal day. If this person isn't your friend, avoid spending a significant amount of time around them. Before you know it, you'll be sucked into the drama too, and instead of sticking to your productivity schedule, you'll be solving his or her problems instead of your own. If this person is your friend, limit your interactions to light-hearted social ones, go-kart racing, seeing a movie, having lunch in between work, etc. Try to pick activities where you're actually doing something, so that drama isn't the focus. Avoid the 2 or 3 hour-long phone conversations, and the random spying on my ex missions that lead to nowhere. Just say no to that friend that wants to gossip for hours on end. Just say no to staying on social media for hours on end. You'll find that you have more than enough time to get everything done. Becoming a party planner. If you're going to really tap into the power of focus, you absolutely need to become a master of planning. There's a certain art to planning your social activities, so that you have an effective work/social balance. Below are some tips for getting the most out of your social life. In addition to scheduling something fun/relaxing on the weekends, schedule one fun activity during the week. This gives you something to look forward to during the workweek, and once you've done the event, it gives you the push that you need to make it to the weekend. Put some time on your calendar for a reoccurring event with friends, i.e. golf outings every month, one spa day a month, etc. Consider outsourcing any errands that you may need to run. Spend that time relaxing with friends and catching up. Avoid social events that are energy zappers. Are you a person who enjoys parties, or are they draining for you? Examine what social events energize you, and plan to have one of these midweek and on the weekend. Remember, planning is key. It's perfectly fine and encouraged. To have fun and let loose. Just be sure that you are planning for that fun, so that you can make the most out of your schedule. Putting a cap on your productivity. If you had just taken an 8-hour kickboxing class, would you feel guilty for taking a rest? What about if you just run an 8-hour marathon? Would you be justified in taking a break then? Most people wouldn't have to think twice about how to answer these questions, yet when it comes to a full 8-hour workday, many people are convinced that they could be doing more. Physical fatigue is visible and therefore able to be more easily understood. Mental fatigue is a different story. It's tricky and can creep up on you. It's important to be careful about overworking yourself. Overworking leads to sleep problems, and lack of sleep leads to a heaping pile of unproductiveness. In fact, according to the New York Times, a recent Harvard study cited sleep deprivation as the cause for a near $64 billion loss in productivity for companies. What a significant loss! In addition, mental fatigue leads to brain fog and inability to focus. And think clearly, something you could clearly do without if you're looking to stay on your A game. Save yourself the hassle and put a cap on the number of hours that you're working. Be sure that you're working no more than 40 hours a week without at least 10 hours of social and/or me time. Taking social breaks. Social breaks while you're working can either be a really good thing or a really bad thing. Here's when they're not so much of a good thing: when coworkers come to your desk to complain or vent. There will never be a shortage of things to complain about wherever you go. Those coworkers can very well, unknowingly, turn into time vampires, hogging your time and energy until you're too drained or time deprived to even think about focusing on a task. When they're taken too frequently and without taking timed intervals into account. Timed intervals help add to the work-life balance. Without them, you'd be working for 5 and 10 minutes and socializing for 30. And, well, that doesn't leave very much time to get things done. Here's when they're a good thing: when you're feeling burned out, and you need time to re-energize. When they're taken in moderation with regards to timed intervals. When the people that you're taking a break with actually energize you. If you feel refreshed instead of drained after speaking with these people, you're on the right track. Social breaks are an important thing to incorporate into your schedule. In fact, they are just as important as your me time. Socializing keeps you sharp, emotionally aware, and best of all, focused. Try this: work one social break into your calendar weekly. You'll find that the burst from socializing coupled with the break from working on your task actually allows you to focus more intensely. Giving yourself a me day. By now, you should know the importance of giving yourself me time, but do you have a clear idea on how you'll spend this time? A lot of mothers think me time means quality time with children. Some teachers believe that it's an opportunity to grade papers in peace at the end of the day. Others have absolutely no clue on what it means. Me time is time spent with yourself and by yourself. It's when you do things for you. With that definition in place, it should come as no surprise that I'm recommending a me day, that is, an entire day that's devoted to you and only you. You should schedule a me day at least once a week. Check out some awesome ideas for how to spend the day with yourself. Go see a movie that you've always wanted to see, but that no one would see with you. Go to a coffeehouse, sip a latte, and read a book. Work on a fun or creative project that you've always been wanting to get to. Go to an art museum. Go shopping or window shopping. Check out a local poetry reading. Catch up on your favorite TV shows. Go to the spa. The possibilities for the number of things that you can do are endless, as they should be. After all, you've got to live with you for the rest of your life. You may as well enjoy yourself. The crowd you keep. Consider this scenario: Jane wants to improve her productivity in all areas of her life. She has two close friends, Barbara and Ann, who have the same goal. Barbara's favorite pastime is watching soap operas. She's hopelessly addicted to the drama that these shows produce, and likes to party at least 4 times a week. She's very social with a lot of influence. Consequently, she likes to use this influence to network quite frequently. Given the above scenario, how productive do you think Jane will be if she spends a great deal of her time with this group of women? Probably not the most productive or focused. Have you ever heard the saying that goes something like, if you're the smartest person in your circle of friends, get a new circle of friends? That mantra still rings true even in the realm of focus and productivity. If you're around a group of people who aren't really productive in their everyday lives, chances are, you're not going to be either. By all means, I'm not saying that you have to get rid of your friends. Different groups of acquaintances often serve different purposes for people. However, if you want to be a beast at productivity and focus, you have to hang around other beasts more frequently. Lacking a circle of friends who you consider to be beasts in the productivity space? Try any of the following things to attract other focused, productive friends. Attend local entrepreneurship clubs or groups. The good thing about these groups is that you know they're all coming together with one common goal in mind: to learn and grow from each other. That's precisely the influence you'll need in your journey to improving your focus. Attend Toastmasters meetings. Public speaking is one of the most common fears. Conquering your fears alongside others helps you to grow closer to them. In addition, you'll learn a valuable skill that aids in increased cognitive function, that is, public speaking. It's a win-slash-win. Hang out with coworkers after work. In addition to catching up with each other and having some fun, you might also learn about some of the productivity tricks that your coworkers are using and how they could benefit you. Create a new LinkedIn group for professionals in your area. Exchanging ideas online is a great way to put a lot of information out there in a short amount of time. If some of those professionals are up for discussing some of those ideas in person over dinner or a happy hour, it's a bonus. Find a professional group associated with your profession. Project managers, writers, journalists, hairstylists, and other professions all have one. Inquire about others' methods for building productivity and focus. These industry-focused groups are great ways to network with like-minded professionals. There's strength in numbers. Foster a friendly competition amongst your current friends that centers around focus and productivity. One such example of this is to have a competition for the person who can read the most information-based books in their niche in a given amount of time. Meet to discuss the ideas and summaries outlined in these books. You'll cover a lot of information from helpful books in a short amount of time. Encourage your friends to invite their other friends who may be interested in taking any similar challenge. Hold each other accountable by tracking each other's weekly progress. Realize that the crowd that you keep is what you'll draw. What type of things do you want to let into your life? An endless soap opera addiction? Constant partying? Only you can control the direction of your focus. Make a decision about what you're trying to attract and change the crowd that you hang around accordingly. Chapter 5: Striking a Balance. I can't emphasize how important it is to have balance in your home, work, and social life. If one of these areas is off, all of the rest will be. The person who is a rock star socializer and does it constantly is likely not as productive at work or at home as they could be. The workaholic who works incessantly is probably falling short on maintaining balance at home and in their social life. You want to be a beast in all of these areas. You won't be perfect. There are times when things will get away from you. The kids failed a test that you missed helping them study for because you had to complete a report that absolutely had to be in by midnight. Your son or daughter had their first basketball game, so you didn't get that last little bit of work done so that you could reach your immediate end goal for the day. You're tired and just want to party all weekend instead of sitting down to plan for the rigorous week ahead. I get it. You're human. We all are. Striking a balance isn't a perfect, uninterrupted art. It's something that we practice and that we work at until we've found some semblance of satisfaction. To recap, in order to strike a good balance, it's important to pay close attention to all of these things. You have an active social life with time for yourself and others. You have a work-life balance that allows you to be productive and focused in the workplace. You have a home environment that's conducive to allowing you to become a beast in other areas of your life. Balance, focus, and productivity are all essential pieces of each other. Without one, the rest all falter. Conclusion: The true power of focus. Focus doesn't just mean concentrating on what you're doing. It's honing in. Anyone can focus on a task without ever really devoting a great deal of time and energy to it. I can watch my favorite basketball player play in the Olympics while I cook dinner, do laundry, and whistle a show tune, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I'll catch every highlight or memorize every stat or even truly enjoy the game. You want to be able to enjoy the game. Yes, you want to be able to get quality work done in a record amount of time. And yes, you want to utilize every iota of your time, so that you are not having to steal from one area of your life to give to the other. But realize the reason that you've been put here. You are here to enjoy your life every second of it, actually. Concentrating on tasks and being productive makes you feel accomplished, organized, and useful. True happiness is living efficiently. In order to truly enjoy your life, you need the tools to concentrate on a given task. You need the work-life balance to avoid burnout. You need focus.